right, we are rolling.
All right.
We don't have a name yet for our TV show, our series, but we'll have to come up with something really witty at some point.
Yeah. Well, when we start doing our makeup together.
Yeah. So basically, this is one of my very best friends, Aaliyah, and we've been friends for how many years?
I have to say it's probably 7 years.
Yeah. And we actually met because we both swiped left. No. We met online, which is kind of crazy, and I found her through Google, which is pretty insane.
She messaged me on Facebook.
And then we became besties. And she lives in Kansas City, and obviously I'm in New York, so we do video chats every day. So today we're going to go over some relationship stuff, things about breakups and how to overcome stuff like that, and all kinds of fun things having to do with relationships.
Woo!
So we actually talk about relationships every day. Me and you, we do our makeup together and we bitch about our lives. No, we don't.
I would say bitch about it.
I know, it's joking. I know, we love our lives. Everything's perfect. Maybe for you, but I don't know, for me it's up and down. But, so you've known me for 7 years. You've seen me go through like a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you want to talk about what you've seen? Like, not in great detail, because you don't need everyone to know my personal business.
Well,
but
I know that, like, you've lived your life kind of in the spotlight a little bit because you're a blogger, and I know that, like, everybody kind of thinks that everything from the outside has to look a certain way and that your life is perfect, but knowing you personally, I know that you've been through some shit, and that guys haven't been the nicest to you, and considering, like, because I know your heart and because I know how awesome you are, she's really awesome, and just, like, I mean, Rachel's, like, a super giving person, a very caring person, and when she does something, she gives it, like, 1,000,000%. So when she's in a relationship, when you're in a relationship, you like to, like, dive right in and give it 100%, but everybody's not like that. No. And so, unfortunately, all the amazing aspects of your personality sometimes aren't appreciated by those people, and that really sucks. Yeah.
But to touch on a little bit. Wait a minute. I think it's on your end. Be turned down.
Huh?
Turn down your teeny bit. I hear myself.
Okay,
that's good. So what I want to tell everyone is that it's okay if something doesn't work out, because if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, the chances of your relationship, like, working out and then you get married is, like, pretty small. You're probably gonna have to go through a lot of people to find the one, because everyone is just so different. And I feel like for me, I just haven't found someone that fits me in every way that I need things to work, basically. Yeah. There's always, like, some big personality thing with the people that I'm with that really just, like, throws it off balance.
Yeah.
So, you know that I'm, like, a super monogamous person.
Yes. Serial monogamous.
I'm a serial monogamist. So, what happens with me is I tend to, like, ride things out longer than I should. I'm like, it's like red flag, and I'm like, bye, see you later.
And I'm the one telling you, Rachel, I see red flag.
And I'm like, but this red flag is really cute. So things I've learned is definitely, like, if you can, when you start seeing red flags, pay attention to those red flags as early as you possibly can. It's going to save you a lot of time.
Let's talk about what red flags are, because I think sometimes, like, we're so, like, especially as women, we're such feeler-oriented type of people, and so it's very difficult to, when you see something wrong, and, like, especially if you're a positive person and an optimist like we are, you might see something wrong, but you're like, oh, it's gonna get better, or, you know, and one of my favorite quotes, or, like, and now I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, if someone is showing you who they are, believe them. And so like when there are situations that happen that like, you know, whether like it happens within a marriage too. So like it's not like everything's all hunky dory over here either, but like when there are things in somebody's personality that you see come out, especially in times of crisis or something, believe that person when they tell you who they are by their actions. So I think that sometimes what with us and with younger girls even, it's like it's okay. Like, oh, he didn't mean that when he said that, or you know, this or that. Like, believe him the first time, because that's generally who it like what it means. And like I would just probably liken that to like us as people too. When we love people as with our full hearts the way we do, people should believe us when we say, hey, like I love you and like this is what I mean, because you know, I think that's how everybody is when it comes into that time when you're in either crisis or really high times. Like, at least especially for you, like you show who your true self is right at the beginning, and if that's something that a guy's not ready to take on, there will be red flags.
Oh, absolutely.
Right up front.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. And what was I gonna say? But yeah, and also like it relates to like when one person is really in it and one person is like 50-50. That's like also like typically when things start to get bad. It's tough. It's like there's so many things that have to add up to have a good relationship.
Yeah.
So it is pretty magical when you find someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So yeah, I'm excited for that to happen for me.
You will find it.
So let's see, what else do I have here? Yeah, so like, I have like compatibility written down, like red flags.
Oh, compatibility. Like, let's talk about Myers-Briggs.
Oh yeah, yes, that's super like rad. Let's talk about that.
I feel like, okay, so I got really obsessed with Myers-Briggs personality types because when we found out about it because someone was taking, I think Peter was taking a test, like for work or something. It's like a 60 question test, and you know, we're like, oh, this is so crazy. It's like we're getting like a cold reading by psychic because all of these things matched up with our personality based off like a few questions. And there's a new site, I think it's called 16personalities.com, that you can take, and it's like 12 minutes long that you go through, and it's like so spot on. You'll find out which one of your personalities it is. But after finding that out, me and Rachel are actually the same. And so it made total sense because we both really like we spending time with each other, and we will call each other every day. And most people were like, you know, like some friendships are like distant. I don't need to talk to you every day. And I'm like, no, I need to talk to you every day.
Yeah, it's like if I talk to you every day, I'm like, there's something wrong.
It's like, what's wrong? She didn't call me. Where is she? And we don't have this we don't have a wall with each other when it comes to stuff like that, because I think we both are just like that. So we understand, like, I can call you 4 times a day and you wouldn't be annoyed with me.
No.
Because we love each other. That's
we'll talk for 4 hours.
Just talk for her.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. And like it's really funny when after we just talk for like 2 hours and you're like, okay, message me, and like we'll still like each other throughout the day.
Talk to me again.
Yeah.
A different form of communication.
Yeah, and so it's like actually it's so funny because like it's really hard to find that type of personality in a guy. So still it within each other, which is great. But there are also things you can know, like relationship wise, ahead of time if you make your partner take this test to see that kind of compatibility. Now it's not hard and fast because there are like flexibilities within each of them, but it's so intriguing and fascinating to see how well it does kind of match up those personalities, and how you can see right up front what your struggles are going to be and what your good things are going to be. Like my husband is in, well, he's changed a couple times, but he's in INTP. I think that's what it is. And I am an ENFJ. And so like he's introverted, I'm extroverted. We're both like intuitive types, which like if people are watching this and they haven't like they don't know about it yet, like you have to look all this stuff up, it'll make sense later. But the biggest problem we probably have is the thinker or feeler difference, which like all that means is like some people think more logically first. Doesn't mean they don't have feelings, but like their first route of mode of thinking or dealing with things is this like very logical, almost robotic type of way of thinking. Yeah. Makes sense. He's an engineer, so yes. Me, wedding photographer, creative over here. It's like I'm like feelings and flowers and, all
Here's
that.
my feelings, take them all.
Here's all the feelings. I hold the feelings.
All the feels.
So that's sometimes where there can be a lot of disconnect. And so I think like at the very beginning, it might be really interesting to take that test because you might see, or you might be able to see, and it's not hard and fast, but you might be able to see just a few things that either could be like, that's not something that's a non-negotiable for me, or, this is something that might be a problem or a good thing for us later on.
See, I feel like I need a good balance. I need someone that like has the E is emotional, right? Like there's an E in there. If it's
E is
S.
Extrovert.
Wait, what's the one
Okay.
about?
So there's the four letters, and the first one is E or I, which is extrovert or introvert.
Oh, right, okay.
And the next one is N or S, which is intuitive or sensing. And then the next one is feeler thinker.
So I need the feeler, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You definitely
I need like a good mix, though, I think. Like somewhere in between a feeler and a thinker. Or is that right? A feeler
and there are people like that. They're like, I know some people who are like, they test on both, and or they, I don't know. There's something called turbulent versus, I don't know how it works.
So my last relationship, which I haven't like publicly announced because it just feels weird too, which is over now. By the way, there's my public announcement. I dated an INTP, and that was like impossible for me in so many ways, and that's honestly like why our relationship didn't work, because we were just on such different planes. Like we were just like, it was just like a
yeah.
So it's actually, the test is really cool and super helpful, and I definitely recommend it to people.
Yeah. Sure. Especially if, like, when you're first dating, it's just kind of something fun. It's like, It's even fun to just discover what yours is and, like, see how close and, why you think certain things or whatever. I think it's just really interesting.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then, what was I going to say? So, like, the other thing is that I wanted to talk about is to tell people to not think that you can change someone, because it is impossible. Impossible.
Okay, so I have plenty to speak on this. I hope Peter doesn't watch this. I'm just kidding. I think, like, going into a relationship with the idea that someone's going to change is the absolute wrong way to start off any relationship. To think that I can save him, I can change him, oh, he's not going to be like this forever, he's going to grow up, blah, blah, blah.
He is.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. No one can change unless they want to. And I think you're totally right. Like, I think as, at least the type of women that we are, probably the people who follow you are very similar in this way. But we are idealists, we are optimists, and we are, I don't know, we have like this optimistic view that things don't look as bad as they do. And maybe that's kind of like our downfall sometimes, because I think like taking a more logical, realist perspective sometimes is really needed in a relationship. And so there are things that, like, for instance, in myself, that aren't going to change ever. Like, I like exactly who I am now, almost 32 years old, and like, I love who I've become as a person. There are things that I personally would like to change that are other things I'd like to grow in, but there are parts of my personality that I have worked really hard to get to, and while I might not be someone's cup of tea, I really like who I am now.
You're like, I'm my own cup of tea.
Bam! If you don't, what is it? I've acquired taste, and if you don't like me, you don't have taste. Wait, what did you say?
I was going to say, I'll drink myself. Then I was like, wait, that did not sound right at all.
I said I'm an acquired taste, and if you don't like me, you don't have taste. So, snap. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like, so if you think of it from that perspective, if there are parts of yourself that you like, or even if you don't like how hard is it already to change yourself?
Yeah.
Rather than, changing someone else. Like, forget it. Like, it's just absolutely impossible.
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends, really close friends, that are dealing with a ton of really hard stuff right now, like breakups and real big obstacles in their relationships. And the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone that's struggling in a relationship right now, or that's newly single, is to really just take that time to work on yourself. When I was going through all my bad relationship stuff, I like started doing sports and I started to draw again. I started painting again, and like all those things, and like building yourself up to be your best self is like key to dealing with anything like that. And you will get over it. I've seen, like I said, my closest friends go through like the roughest possible things in their relationships, and then they've come out on the other side. So
well, I told you that when you.
I know, honestly, like I went through some crazy shit in the last like 3 years, and here I am, and I feel like now more than ever, I'm like so happy with myself, and like I feel so confident in like everything I'm doing, and I wake up fucking super happy every day. So I'm just like really glad, because it's like when you're in that moment, you just think that the world is over, like you're just done.
Yeah.
Like that's it. You did everything you could, and you still like got smashed to pieces. So it's just like so hard to pick yourself back up and put yourself back together and get out there. But I was singing in the shower today how different dating is now than when I was in high school. I was like, man, in high school, you know, you'd break up with your boyfriend, and like it would feel like the world was ending. But then the next day you were like over it. Like it's like just like it's just because the relationship was just so silly, and like, you know, it was, you know, whatever, a young love. But now it's just like there's so much more involved, like living together and stuff you have together, even if it's just like, I don't know.
Well, the implications are so much higher. Like, I mean, because we get so much more serious, and like, I've had some friends now that like who have children and are getting divorced, and it's like, whoa, like you didn't even see that coming. And it's like, how do you get through something like that? Like, I don't know. I haven't been through that, but like, it will feel like that. It feels like the world is ending. But at the, like, people go through so many horrible things, and I mean, unimaginable things. Like, a relationship ending is like small compared to like a lot of things that could be happening, right?
Yeah.
But it's valid because it feels how it feels no matter what. But
it's like you become so close to someone. It's like they're your best friend. It's like you're mourning the loss of your best friend.
It feels like someone died.
Yeah, it does. Because it's like obviously a lot of people, and I can't speak for everyone, but they don't turn around and become friends with their exes right away. Because it's like it's super hard, unless like your relationship was not really a relationship for like a super long time. But yeah, it's really tough. I keep thinking of like thoughts as like I'm listening to you, and I'm like, wait, I want to talk about that. And I'm like, I forgot it already.
Remember,
I have a great long-term memory, but my short-term memory sometimes is terrible. Like, I can remember things from when I was like 4 years old, but I can't remember things from like 10 minutes ago.
Better get that checked.
I know, right? Maybe I'm just getting old. So I'm turning 28 this year, and I don't know, it's interesting to think about what I expect from myself in my future relationships. Like, being from the Midwest, my family all, like, married their high school sweethearts, and they all, like, had kids and nice houses, white picket fences, and, like, all these American dreamy things. So my cousins and I, who are, like, all similar in age, always were like, oh, by 26, 27, we'll be married with, like, kids. Like, that's what we're going to be. Like, that's what we're going to have. I'm like, damn, I'm 27, and I'm like, can't have kids for, like, at least 5 more years. So like it's funny, each year I just like think mentally like, all right, push it back.
Yeah. Well,
like,
we're different. Like we're kind of worldly minded too. So
yeah,
we have like big dreams, aspirations, and things we want to do. And I'm married, but like that kid train couldn't be any further, and it just keeps going.
It just goes off the cliff.
Yeah, it's like maybe it'll come back. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. We've just got a different idea of like what life should look like, and that's fine. Like if people like, not to judge those who want to, you know, get married at 25 and have a bunch of kids, like that is their dream. You know, it's just not ours.
Well, my dream is just to be happy with someone. Because obviously, going back to what we said earlier, like I'm super monogamous, and I'm totally fine with being single, but I'm very like focused on one thing. I like to have one thing to focus on So dating is not necessarily like my favorite thing, and it
Yeah.
is for some people. Some people love going on 3 or 4 dates a week with different people and doing that.
I feel like that's a lot of work.
It is. It's exhausting. It's like 2 hours a day of telling someone like your whole life story. It's like, oh, how many cats do you have? Oh, what's your mom's name? Oh, like it's just like, okay. No, I like learning about people. Obviously, though, if it's funny because like I've gone on Tinder dates before, and it's just like you're going back and forth. But it's when I sit down with someone within like 10 minutes, I'm like, I like you or I don't like you. Like not like I don't like you in a mean way, but like you're just not gonna be the dude that I'm gonna be with.
Yeah.
So for the like other rest of the time, I like feel I don't want to leave, and I don't want to like make them feel like shitty and be like, well, okay, bye. Like after like 10 minutes, so I like
so bye.
I stick it out and like get to know them, you know, give them the chance. But I don't know. It's just like that is like to me, it is not a waste of time because you have to probably date a bunch of people to find the one that's a good match for you. But it is a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of time.
It's not just a lot of time. There's a lot of emotional like investment that has to happen. I mean, like, yeah, you go on one date and you hang out or whatever, but like, I just try and think of all the people, all the friends that I can't even like spend time with, like on the normal like level. So I couldn't imagine like adding on top of that all these new people that you're like trying to feel out essentially.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd rather be at home with my cats than being on like all these dates.
Yeah.
Unless it's someone that I really like, and then that's cool. Like I'll spend more time with that person to get to know them better. But I feel like I'm pretty quick to like weed out the ones that I don't think I would be a good fit for.
What's something that you think that, I don't know, like besides the stuff that we've talked about, that would, at least for your followers, younger girls too, the greatest thing that you've learned through these relationships and coming out on top now, really kind of figuring out who you are as a person?
Yeah, so I can definitely tell you from experience some of my mistakes that I've made. So mistakes that I make are moving really quickly. You know, in some of my relationships, I've been in a lot of like serious relationships, probably like more than 5 dudes. Well, definitely more than 5 dudes. And most of my relationships at least last like a year, if not like a few of them were 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the first year is like when you really get to know someone. So my biggest mistake has been to move in with a guy before that first year is over. So like halfway through the year, we're still in that like, oh my god, I love you phase. And we're like, well, you know, it makes sense to live together, especially when you're in, you know, I was in Chicago and then I came to New York, and like rent's really expensive, and if you're always together, it just makes sense to live together. But I would say that like I wish that I had given it a little bit more time to fully get to know the person, because like, I mean, people can change, and when you move in together, it's like a different thing because you're living together and you're into those spaces more. But I think there were things in my previous relationship that I could have learned and acknowledged better had I not moved in with this person when I did. Mm-hmm. But again, I ignored red flags. So the other big thing is to not ignore those flags, because you'll end up in a sticky situation where it's harder to get out of, kind of like how I was. Like, we just essentially dragged it out because we were living together, and it was just like a waste of both of our time, to be honest.
I think it's hard to know what a red flag is until you've kind of been through it, and like depending on the person, red flags are different for each person. There are some like hard and fast red flags, like you know, people like, I don't know, they're just certain things that you just know like, that doesn't work. But then there are other things, at least for me, that I could see for you, that's like, from knowing your personality and your heart, like, that's not something I see you being happy with, like, long term, or that's not an action that I feel like someone would do if they care for you the way you care for them. And so seeing that someone, like, if you're more invested than the other person is, red flag. Always.
Yeah. And then if you have things that are like non-negotiables for you, then you need to hold yourself to those things. Like, for example, one of my non-negotiables is you have to be really awesome with my family. Like, my family has to like you. Like, you better, come to my parents' house and be really nice to them, because that's really important to me. And I'm always, I always treat anyone that I'm with family like they're my own family. And that's what I'm looking for. Like, family's super important to me. So that's, like, one thing that's, like, a non-negotiable. And then, like, being a little bit sensitive is a non-negotiable for me. Like, I need someone that, like, if I'm having a hard time or I'm feeling really sad, they can really hear me out and, like, not judge me or not be harsh to me. Because I'm a sensitive person. So if someone's coming at me really, like, abruptly and, like, harsh and, like, too honest, I'm just like, no.
I don't even think it's necessarily honesty, because, like, I don't think you have a trouble with people being honest with you. I'm honest with you, but I think, like, the problem is that when someone shows a lack of empathy, and empathy is, like, so important. Definitely. Compassion and empathy are so important, and, like, I think someone's ability to be able to sense where you're at and to know how to speak to someone in that moment is, like, really important.
Yeah.
So especially for feelers.
Yep.
So, if I think, like, a lack of empathy is really tough for probably for any relationship, though. Honestly, I mean, if you're, like, a leader in a work position and you have to behave a certain way and be like, down to business, like, no feelings, fine. But when it comes to a relationship, like, it's a vat of feelings. Like, you can't avoid that. So empathy is hugely important, I think, to any relationship, because you have to be able to understand the other person.
Yeah. So I would say, like, for people, a good thing to do is to think of maybe, like, your top 3 things that you think are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And then just keep that in the back of your head when you're, like, starting to date or whatever. And, like, don't waste your time. If someone is really, like, in one way just not ticking that box for you or whatever, then just move on. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me, I don't waste time. I will find my person. But
Rachel, you don't like to wait. Neither do I, though.
No, and it's not even that I don't like to wait. I just feel like, weirdly, I feel like the universe just, like, puts things in my lap. It's like, I don't know. Like, I can't explain it. Like, things just timely, like, happen and line up, and I don't know, life just happens. And I was thinking about this earlier today, too, how I feel really lucky, because even in my shittiest of times, something really nice has happened. Like, I'll meet someone that's, like, really cool and meaningful and special to me, and which has happened. And, like, I don't know, it's just, like, it's weird.
That's how we met.
I know.
Yay.
So, yeah, it's crazy. I just feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And in it's inspirational, because in a lot of ways, like I said, when bad things have been happening to me, something good will happen randomly that will help me, like, really feel okay, you know? Like, I hope that something will happen for my one friend that's going through a lot of stuff right now. I feel like it will. Something good will happen. But you have to also have that mindset that you're going to be okay.
Yeah. And that's another important, like, I guess, like, aspect of, like, mindset is like, I know this sounds weird, but, like, mindset is just a huge part of a relationship, because not in the sense even of just, like, normal perspective, but as far as, like, this esoteric kind of idea of, like, what you see for yourself, what you allow for yourself, and what you feel about yourself. Because if you think, like, I'm not pretty, I'm not this, I'm not that, you will attract people that feel the same way about you, and or will treat you that way. Like, you're not, like people will treat you as good as you will treat yourself.
Right.
And because you're telling people, this is what I'm worth. So if you don't believe you're, like, that great or amazing or deserve better, you'll attract those type of people. I have a girlfriend who's always like, why do I always get the, like, worst guys? And, like, and she does. Like, I mean, they're just, like, the worst. And we don't find out until, like, a little bit after she starts dating them. And she's like, I always get the worst guys. And I was like, you need to stop saying that, because you're putting it out there. Like, I always get the worst guys. And then they just keep coming back. So I was like, you need to just, like, change your vocabulary and say, I deserve the best guys. Like, and, you know. Yeah. Like, and not to be, like, a little hokey, but Like, I think that's true. Like, she attracts that.
Yeah. I feel like at this point I've dated like every kind of guy. And so I feel like really strong and confident now because I've dated so many different types of guys. I've dated like the nerdy school guy, the really quiet guy, the really outgoing guy, the very too sensitive guy, the not sensitive at all guy, the dick guy. Like, I don't know, literally everything. The video game nerd. What else? Oh, the tour manager. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
But all in all, like, even though they're all failed relationships, I feel like I learned.
You've learned so much.
And I've met people that are still really good friends of mine, and like some of my exes are still friends of mine. And some of the relationships ended really badly, and some of them were like, hey, this just isn't working out. So it's nice now because I feel like I have a good understanding of what I need and what I want and what I'm not looking for and what I'm looking for, which is great.
Yeah. And, well, I think, like, also, all those relationships in some aspect have given you a new piece of yourself, a lesson or something that you've taken away from that helped you grow, and so now you really do know yourself as a person and also what you do want and don't want. So I have a good feeling that the good is on. It's coming soon. You went through your last, like, real big trial, so.
It's true.
Yeah. But you're strong. Like, you've always been strong. As long as I've known you, you've been one of the strongest people that I've known.
Thanks.
So, I believe in you.
Yeah.
I know that good things are coming your way.
I went through a lot of shit when I was younger, and so I feel like I grew up a lot faster than most people.
A lot faster than you had to.
So, I feel like a 40-year-old woman trapped in a 27-year-old's body.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel very, like, I don't want to say worldly, but, like...
Your followers don't really know much about your background history, do they?
No, probably not. I think I might have written one post about it, but,
For you guys watching this, we're not going to spill all of that here, but Rachel has been through more than her share of having to grow up and do things on her own and alone, through some very hard times. Like, I know all about it now, and I can't imagine having to go through what she's gone through and still come out a normal person, a happy person, and a positive person. Like, that's a lot to do. Like, you've done it with grace.
No, thank you.
This is not flattery.
I'm sure when I was in high school, it was not so graceful, but...
When I met you when you were 23? 22?
I think I was 22. Yeah.
You're 28? So, yeah. Well, no, 21.
Yeah. Damn. The year I started, legally drinking. I really didn't start drinking, though, until I was, like, 19. Which is kind of later than most, like, suburban kids that were in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what else can I think about or say about relationships? Just, I don't know, it's really hard when you're young and you can't really picture the future. And it just feels like you're just going through all these hardships and these trial and error situations. But eventually, like, when you're 28, like me, or almost 28, you'll realize that, like, everything's fine. As long as you have worked on yourself and you've established a life for yourself, then everything else will follow.
Yeah.
Like, if I have my own place, and I have a good job, and I have good friends, and, everything else will just come as it will now.
And make sure that you're in a relationship that's moving somewhere and not a relationship.
Relationship? That's moving backwards.
Right. Or just turning into shit.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't regret anything that I've done in the past. Like, I don't regret any relationships I've had, but I really wish I would have listened or trusted my gut a little bit, because during a lot of the red flags, literally my gut would just, like, my stomach would be churning. Like,
and then I would be over there like, Rachel, red flag service calling.
like frolicking through the red flags.
That's cool. That's cool.
But no, there are like a lot of good people in this world, and there's someone for everyone, I believe.
Or multiple people for everyone.
Yeah. No, monogamy is the answer. I'm like, no.
I don't mean it like that. Because like some people have gotten divorced and like, you know, and it's like, but sometimes that person was there for a chapter, and that doesn't mean you made a mistake or your life is over. Sometimes that person was vital for your life, and you know, like there's a lot of aspects to that. So I just don't want to discourage those who may have gotten a divorce, because like that person might have been the perfect person for you at the time.
Yeah, and it sucks. Like, people change a lot, especially. I can't even like get into like dating in our generation because it.
I know.
We've already talked for 35 minutes. I could talk about this for like 2 hours.
So part 2 next time.
Part 2 will be dating in our generation, because it's just.
You know, have you seen Aziz Ansari's book? Modern. I think I have it. Modern dating or modern texting or something like that, and it's hilarious because he's older. Like I think it's like maybe he's like 32 or 33. He's my age, and he talks about trying to date in like this day and age and how hard it is.
It's really hard, and it's not romantic anymore, and that makes me really sad because I'm a sappy romantic.
People should write letters.
Write letters and pick up the phone and call each other.
Oh, that's a.
Like, that doesn't even happen anymore. It's just like you're lucky if you get a text in one day. You're lucky if you get like a, hey, how's it going text or whatever. It's like, come on, people, put some effort into it.
I could go into this forever because like that, it really disconnects us as human beings from each other. And like, I can't imagine, like, obviously I'm not dating, but like being in that situation where like you really, it's hard, it's more difficult to connect with people on that heart level. I don't know. Things have really changed. And they've sped up. So I think, like, also relationships go their breath a lot faster than they did in the past.
They do, because honestly, everything people do, and I'm obviously super guilty of this because it's my job, but everything I do in a day is on Snapchat and Instagram. No one even has to ask me what I did today.
Yeah.
You don't even have to call me.
Yeah.
You can look at my Snapchat, and we don't have to even talk about it because we already know what I did. Which kind of sucks, but I'm not complaining because I love social media for a lot of reasons, and I think that I've always been a very self-expressive person in every art form possible. Yeah. I'm just like, let me get all my things out there, my feelings.
I'm the same way.
So it's like I have a love-hate relationship with it for sure. But, I don't know, it's like, with the right people, there's still good conversation, luckily. But I feel like for a lot of people, it's like you don't even really have to ask. Because everything's out there.
Yeah, exactly. I can catch up with everybody in a snap. Like, I can watch it for 15 minutes.
Which is cool, but also sad.
Yeah.
So.
It keeps us in touch, but it also keeps us distant. So I would imagine, like, it's fine for those people that you're like, hey, I went to high school with you. I don't care to talk to you. It's fine. Yeah. I know what's going on in your life, and you got a kid that you keep snapping. Great. But, like, for when you're dating someone and you're needing to find out what, like, if this is, like, compatible or not, like, it's really difficult to find out. Because also, we always present the best parts of ourselves. So it's like, oh, yeah, they're great. They're awesome. They're so cute and blah. And then you move in with them, and you're like, what the hell?
Not that I'm that person.
Well, that's just you.
I'm not the person that you move in with and you don't like. It's the opposite.
You're the person you move in and love. You're like, oh my God.
I'm like, I'll do everything you want me to do. And then, oh wait, you won't do shit for me. Awesome. Sounds great.
We won't make this too personal.
Sorry. Yeah, that's bad.
The identity of the person.
Yeah. No one knows. It could have been any of the dudes I dated. No one knows.
Sure. Well, that probably concludes our first episode of our
I can't believe we talked 40 minutes already.
I know, this is great.
Yeah, this is going to be super easy for us.
I know, we already talked like 40 minutes earlier today.
I know.
Plus this conversation. So awesome. Once we come up with the name with this, I think like we'll do our makeup together. Yeah. Yeah, because that was the original idea for our show.
It'll be hard though. My bathroom's really small.
So is mine. Can you Skype on your phone? Yeah, I guess you can't record it. It doesn't matter. They don't care.
Um,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, my viewers are still talking about this.
Yeah.
All right. I'll stop recording now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something cool and interesting and useful. And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, we can keep talking.